In this video, we're going to build an Excel worksheet to calculate the present value of an annual coupon bond. Let's begin by picking up our cash flows, our coupons. Our coupon is the 7% coupon rate times the $1,000 bond's par value or face value. I want to make sure I anchor the cell references to both those. And of course, I could copy that across. One problem here, this coupon should stop after 6 periods, so I really shouldn't have anything over there right now. If I leave them blank though, and suddenly this changes to 7, that's not working. So I need to use a logical function. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask and say, if year 8 is bigger than year 7, I don't want anything there, but if it's less than that, I do want something there. So let's put our logical function in, equals if year 1 is greater than year 7, and I need to make sure I anchor that cell reference to the term there, then I'm going to pick up, and I could put in a 0, and then I'm going to pick up, otherwise I'm going to pick up my calculation, and I can copy that across. And I have a worksheet that works, but it looks a little messy. I would like to do something a little bit different here so I don't have anything out here in the years beyond the bond's maturity. So instead of putting in a 0 if the condition is false, I'm going to put in just 2 quotation marks. That means I'm going to put nothing in the cell. If I put the word Fred in here, then Fred will show up if the condition is true. But I don't really want Fred in my worksheet either. So let's get rid of Fred and just have 2 quotation marks. That way the cell will appear as though it's empty. Now, next thing we need to do is pick up the par value. Year 1, nothing's going on. The only time I really would want to pick up the $1,000 par value is what? In year 5. So equals if five equals the term of maturity. I make sure I anchor that cell reference. Then I want to pick up the bond's par value. I want to make sure I anchor that cell reference. Otherwise, I'm going to pick up, again, nothing. I can hit enter, and I can copy that across. Make sure we're copying it both ways. Now I've got a bond whose cash flows change with the length of maturity. I next need to do pick up the annual cash flows. Now, normally we could just add 2 cells together, equals C10 plus C9. I'm going to get a value or an error message here because this really isn't blank. There's a piece of text there and we can't add text. But fortunately, we can use the sum function to overcome that problem. So just take the sum of those 2 cells and I can, of course, copy it across. Which is good, except again, now I've got a worksheet that looks a little ugly. So let's use our logical function again. Equals if year 1 is greater than the maturity of the bond, I would want to pick up nothing. Otherwise, I am going to pick up the sum that I had calculated a second ago. And I can copy that across. I didn't anchor my cell reference to the term in years, so let's make sure we anchor that with $signs. Now I can copy that straight across. We're going to do the same thing with our present value, equals. We're going to take the cash flow and divide it by the quantity, 1 plus the interest rate, yield to maturity, anchoring that to the first power. And again, I can copy that across, but it gets a little ugly out here in the ends. So I need to use my logical function again. Equals if year 1 is greater than the term to maturity, anchoring it, then I want to have nothing there. Otherwise, I'm going to have exactly what I just calculated, which was my present value. I can copy that across. Now I've got a worksheet that will calculate the present value of the cash flows, and I can simply sum those up to get the bond's present value. And of course, I could also use Excel's present value function equals PV. My rate was what? The yield to maturity of 8%. I've got 8 periods. My coupon is the 7% times the $1,000. Oh, no equal sign in there. And then the face value is the $1,000, close parentheses. I don't really want a negative bond price, so let's just come in front of our PV function and put a minus sign, hit enter. Now I've got our worksheet that will work. Notice par value, coupon rate equals yield to maturity, and it will work for any maturity I choose.